All right, let's talk about applying for Social Security disability. There's this one document that can literally make or break your entire claim. It's the Work History Report, Form SSA 3369-BK. And today, we're going to dive deep and figure out how to master this thing, how to turn it into the strongest part of your whole application.
So why does this form matter so much? I know what you're probably thinking. It's just a list of my old jobs, right? How hard can that be? Well, you'd be surprised. This form, right here, is exactly where so many disability claims just completely stumble and fall. I mean, could one single form really decide your future? It sounds a little dramatic, I know. But when you're talking about getting the benefits you really need, the stakes are just incredibly high. The information you put down here, it has massive implications for your whole case. Because for a whole lot of disability claims, this is that form. Here's why it's so critical. The Social Security Administration, the SSA, they use this form to answer two huge questions. First, does your medical condition stop you from doing the work you used to do? And second, does it stop you from doing any other kind of work out there? The answers you give on this form, that's their main piece of evidence. Okay, so before we really get into the nitty-gritty of filling this out, there's a huge, and I mean huge, positive change you absolutely need to know about. As of June 2024, the SSA went and updated a rule that completely simplifies this whole process. It makes things so much clearer for applicants.
And look, the difference is like night and day. Before, you had to try and remember and document a full 15 years of work history. Can you imagine? Now, you only need to focus on the last 5. This is a total game changer because it lets you give really accurate, super detailed information for the period that actually matters most.
Okay, so keeping that awesome new 5-year window in mind, let's break down exactly how to describe your work history. We're talking about the kind of detail that builds a totally rock-solid claim. Now, getting the basics right is key. These things might seem simple, but little errors here can create big inconsistencies down the line. First off, always list your jobs starting with the most recent one first. Use your official job title, not a nickname. And here's a super common mistake people make. For type of business, they want the industry, not the company name. So think coffee shop, not Starbucks, or warehouse operations, not Amazon. And yeah, do your best to be as precise as you possibly can with those start and end dates. Okay, listen up, because this next part, this is the absolute heart of the form. I can't stress this enough. This is where most people make mistakes that really hurt their claim. Describing your day-to-day duties is, without a doubt, the most important section of this entire thing. This is your chance to paint a picture for the SSA, to show them the actual physical and mental demands of your job. If you give vague answers here, it's just a recipe for denial. Just look at the power of being specific. The bad example, answered phones and did computer work. That tells the SSA basically nothing, right? But the good example on the right, wow. It gets into the how long, the how much. It gives them concrete numbers to work with. A 6-line phone system for 3 hours a day, typing reports for 4 hours, lifting 25-pound boxes 5 times a day. See? That is the level of detail that paints a crystal clear picture for them. All right, as you get to the part about physical demands, there's one golden rule you have to follow. It's a really simple check, but it prevents a major red flag on your application. So, do your hours add up? Here's the rule. The hours you put down for sitting, plus the hours for standing, plus the hours for walking, they have to equal your total workday. It's that simple. If you worked an 8-hour day, those 3 numbers have to add up to 8. If they don't, it immediately throws up a red flag and makes them doubt everything else you've written.
Next up, we've got lifting and carrying. Now, this is important. This isn't about what you think sometimes or often means. The SSA has very specific definitions for these words.
And you've got to know their language. For the SSA, occasionally means up to 1/3 of the workday. Frequently is from 1/3 up to 2/3, and constantly is 2/3 or more. So think about it. If you are listing 10-pound boxes for most of your shift, that's probably frequently or even constantly. But if you only lifted a heavy 50-pound box like once a week, that's just occasionally. Using their exact terms is absolutely essential.
All right, now let's talk about what I consider your secret weapon on this form. It's this little section at the very end called Remarks. And you know what? Most people either just ignore it or leave it totally blank. And that is a huge mistake, a massive missed opportunity.
You should think of this space as your personal statement for your work history. You have to use it wisely. This is your one chance to give all the important context that the little check boxes and short answer boxes just can't capture. It's where you get to connect the dots for the person reviewing your file and explain the why behind everything. So what kind of stuff should you explain in remarks? Oh, only the most vital details. Did your boss give you a special ergonomic chair for your back pain? Write that down. Did you have to leave a job because your condition made the physical demands just impossible? State that clearly. Were your job duties changed over time because of your health? Put it in there. Did you miss a ton of work right before you had to stop completely? Explain that here. This kind of context is pure gold for your claim.
Okay, so we've walked through the whole form. Before we wrap this up, let's do a quick final check. Let's go over the most common mistakes that can lead to a denial so you can make sure to avoid them.
So here are the 5 big steps to avoid a denial. Number 1, be specific, not vague. We talked about that. 2, make sure your hours match up. 3, mention all the accommodations you received. 4, use that remarks section. And finally, number 5, be honest, don't exaggerate. Seriously, being accurate and honest is your single greatest asset here. Remember, when you master this form, you're not just listing old jobs. You're building the entire foundation of your disability claim. You're showing them with clear, hard evidence exactly how your condition impacts your ability to work. So take a second and think about your own history through this new lens. What's that one crucial detail you're now going to make sure you include?